For the section here, adding and subtracting rationals or decimals, okay, is going to be very similar to what we did over the last class period with one little difference, okay? So it's important to pay attention, but it shouldn't be terribly difficult. Okay, so if we look at these problems here on the left, they're really, really close to what we've been doing. The problem we have, though, is that we now have negatives slipped in front, or we have two negatives in the middle. And I just want to pull out a calculator to show you what happens. Okay, so if I have 12.12 negative, and I'm going to add in 8.2, that gives me negative 3.92 as my answer. Negative 3.92. Okay, and if I wanted to just add these like we did before, and I'm going to go negative 12.12, and this becomes 8.20. Okay, all of a sudden we have a problem, because how do I add when we have numbers like this? And I'm getting really confused already just looking at this. So we have to do this differently. And the way I recommend, I'm going to keep this here just so we know we did it right, is I like to take these numbers and just ignore the decimals at first. So I turn this into negative 12 plus 8. Okay? And I have to ask, what is negative 12 plus 8? And hopefully you know that that is negative 4. Okay? And we have to ask ourselves, how did we get negative 4 from these numbers? And I'm thinking, well, it's actually 12 minus 8, which gave us 4, and then we put a negative on it. Well, if we look at these top numbers, that's what we have to do here. We have to do this first number minus this second number, and we got to put a negative on the answer. So I'm going to go 12.12 minus 8.20. Okay, and I did that because it told me down here that I have to take the first number minus the second number. Okay, so then that's 2. We have to borrow, which gives us 9. Borrow again, gives us 3. Well, we know we're getting close. But then we have one problem. This has to be negative because it told us over here that it's negative. So that's our answer, and we confirm that with a calculator. So, a couple steps here. Step 1 is ignore the decimals. Step 2 is do a little bit of critical thinking, a little bit of problem solving. How did we get that answer? And then step 3 is to actually do the problem. Okay, so we're going to try one on the bottom here. I'm going to take these and I'm going to ignore the decimals. I'm going to go negative 6 minus 2. Negative 6 minus 2 is negative 8, because if I owe someone $6 and I have to take away 2 more dollars, I'm going to go down farther. Well, how did I get negative 8 from these two numbers? Well, I did 6 plus 2 is 8, and then I put a negative on the end of it. So that means I have to do this number plus that number and put a negative on it. So I'm going to go 6.30, because I need 2 decimal places, 2.14, and I have to add. So that's 4, 4, and 8. And now I need a negative, so our answer is negative 8.44. What's also really, really nice about these estimations here is it should be really close to your actual answers. If you make a mistake, you should catch it right away. Okay. Whoops. I'm going to do the same thing here. On this first one, I'm going to go negative 18 minus a negative 6, or 7, if you round it up. 2 ways to think of this. You can think of these two as combining into one positive, or you can think of it as taking away $6 of debt. But either way, we're going to have to get bigger. So it's negative 18 plus 6, which is negative 12. Now, how do we get that? Well, we did 18 minus 6, and we put a negative on it. So I have to do this number minus this one and put a negative on it. So I'm going to go 18.30 minus 6.77. Looks like we have some borrowing to do. It's 1 1. And we needed a negative, so it's negative 11.53, which is really close to our estimation. One on the bottom, same thing. 36 plus a negative 9, or negative 10 if you round it up. Well, that should be 25. No, it shouldn't be 25. Should be 27. Sorry about that. So then we did this number minus the second number. So we're going to do the first number minus the second. So I get 36.40 minus 9.71. Do a little bit more borrowing. It's 9. That's 6. Decimal comes down. That's 6. And our answer is 26.69. All right, last one. I want you to try this on your own. Okay. So I did 8 minus 9. You could have done 7. It would give you the same thing. Well, that's negative 1, which means I did this number minus this number, and I put a negative on it. So I'm going to go 9.32 minus 7.89. So that gives me 1.43, and I have to put a negative on it. Okay, this one takes just a little bit of critical thinking. The actual math is not very difficult. Okay, so make sure you ask questions if you need them. This one is in the textbook or it's on a PDF document, so no Excel for this one.